Ciao a tutti and welcome to Venice Talks, a podcast series about Venice in Italy. My name is Monica Cesarato and I am a Venetian food and travel blogger. I'm going to put my insider knowledge at your disposal to help you discover Venice at 360 degrees. Each week, I will be chatting to the people who really matter, the Venetian. So follow me on the discovery of its artisans, writers, fashion designers, artists, glassmakers, bloggers, and much, much more. Come to visit Venice the right and sustainable way. You can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com and also on all social media. Enjoy the episode. Welcome back to Venice Talks, episode number 34. Hi everybody and welcome back to Venice Talks. Today, not one, but two special guests. First of all, Desi Marangon, Venetian historian and writer, and then the Bard of Venice, the writer for excellence, Alberto Toso Fei. Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, Monica.
In unison.
Yes,
of course. It's
like
it's years that we are working in unison.
As usual.
So you get to do the interview in unison too. Okay, so first of all, I'll start with Desi because obviously I'm a lady and we start with the ladies.
Thank
Desi,
you.
can you explain to the listener who you are and what you do?
Well, I am a PhD, actually. I got my PhD at the University of Padova in 2012, in the middle of the pandemic, by the way.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yes, so I'm a scholar, and I have been working on the history of Venice, on descriptions, like medieval description with Gothic letter forms you can see all around the city.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was so interested also in historical graffiti, because, when you do your research looking at the wall in your city, you start looking at the formal, more institutional description, but then also graffiti just pops up at every corner, actually.
Mm-hmm. And so you
And I
specialize
am an
in
author.
this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're an author.
Yes, I'm an author. I'm specialized in medieval epigraphy, Renaissance epigraphy, so the public inscriptions in Venice and history of Venice. And of course, I'm so interested in history from below. I'm not so involved in writing the history of the elitarian people. So yeah, Graffiti Di Venezia
common
is about it.
People.
Yes,
Common people.
yes,
Nice.
everyday life.
Okay, we'll go back to this. And Alberto, I know who you are, and every single Venetian know who you are, but let's say you're known all over the world by now, but who is Alberto Toso Fei?
Okay, Alberto Toso Fei, alas, 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, started to collect all those stories, legends, myths coming from the oral tradition, who really risks seriously to be lost forever. Mm-hmm. I'm, as you know, originally from Murano Island.
You're a Venetian DOC.
Yeah. And when I was a child, I was pretty accustomed to listen to old stories. Mm-hmm. Told by old people, but it was a custom already lost by my Venetian friends, for example. And it was later during the university age that I realized how the most part of these beautiful stories risk really to be lost. And so I decided to collect all of them and to write them down in several books. Mm-hmm. Now they are between legends, history of Venice, and other more than 20 books.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. I'm behind then. I don't have them all. I am
included, of course, I Graffiti Di Venezia, but I wrote with Desi, but that was preceded by years of studies and research.
So that's why I called you both, because I wanted to talk about this book that just came out recently. It was about 6 months, a year now, because so much happened in the meantime. That is I Graffiti Di Venezia, so Venetian graffiti. How was the idea born?
Oh, I think I can start to answer this question.
Definitely.
Okay.
Because, for example, in my first published book 23 years ago, I already put a couple of stories who spoke about graffiti. Venice is, of course, we know already in the world, know it's a very special city, but it is so special that some legends became scratches on the stones. You can recognize Venetian legends through the existence of real graffiti. And this is so fascinating. And so I started this way. And then during the year and during my researches, I met several of them, a lot of them. It was a far idea to search for all of them, you know, but I really have only the passion, but not the knowledge to be able to do it. Unfortunately, my way crossed Desi's way because we met at first really among some discussion on social like Facebook, you know.
On social medias, yes.
Yeah. So we were participating to the same, I mean, discussion on different arguments connected to graffiti, public spaces, and discovered little by little to have the same passion. But more than this, Desi had and has for sure the knowledge, you know, to do it. So we put together our talent, and it was a long job, but
a match made in heaven, as they would say. Listen, Desi, how long did the research for the book last?
5 years.
Whoa, la la.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yes, because you have to consider that we had to collect all the graffiti in the city. Well, at the very beginning, we were sure that this graffiti were like 50 graffiti, maybe 100, maybe, but then the number exploded because they were like 1,000. At the end of our research, we found 6,000 graffiti.
Wow.
I mean, I'm just talking about what we can read, because sometimes, you know, you can find a graffiti with just initials, like the acronyms or dates. So we are not considering all the graffiti we'll find. Sometimes they are also scratched on the wall like 100 years ago. So they are not readable anymore because the walls, the plaster doesn't last. You know, in Venice, the plaster doesn't last because of the humidity. Yeah. So we consider just 6,000 graffiti. 6,000, yes, correct.
Wow.
So it was a really huge work. And then we decided to divide it, to consider this graffiti in order to create 30 chapters for our books, 30 thematic chapters, not just to write a catalog, an epigraphic catalog, which will be useful for sure, but a bit boring, because we're interested in the wide public, not just to the scholars, okay? Our purpose was to do a kind of dissemination, a public history project, not just to collect them without saying anything.
And how hard was it to find information, Alberto?
Oh, sometimes it's impossible. Anyway, every single graffiti we met catch our interest, of course. And sometimes we are able to recognize, of course, a datation, the nature of a scratching or the painting, because many of them are also painted, you know, in the wall. Some are connected with election of the dodges, for example, and so it's easier. Collect information about that election or the other because of the name you can read, or because of the year that's brought down. In some other cases, it's hard. You can recognize because of many reasons. how old is a graffito, you
Mhm.
know? And so you can for sure tell that that's an ancient graffito, but not every time you're able to say certainly which
Mhm.
reason move of a person who scratched it, or what it, or sometimes also what it represent.
Mhm. Daisy, the oldest graffiti you found?
The oldest, actually, it's a non-Venetian graffito because it was scratched on the surface of the white lion you can see at the entrance of at the monumental entrance of the arsenal in Venice, the historical shipyard in Venice in Castello district. So here, Monica, you know it very well.
Oh,
there
yeah.
are 4 lions. Well, the first one, the biggest one, it's like almost 3 meters high, okay, very huge, dating back to the first centuries. Actually, it is coming from Greece, from Athens.
Yes.
So when it was in Athens, during the Byzantine Empire, so we are talking about the 11th centuries, 12th centuries, here the bodyguards of the Roman, the Greek emperor, they were Vikings. They were young soldiers coming from the North Europe. So they were there, and maybe they were kind of bodyguards. Sometimes, they were waiting there at the harbor of Athens. Maybe they were bored, who knows? But when you are bored, what are you going to do? You scratch and work on the monuments. So they scratch.
As they do today.
Exactly. It was exactly the same practice. So they scratched their names.
800 years after.
Yes, sure. They scratch their names on the surface of these huge lions. Sometimes they wrote also, maybe with the knife they have, okay, with the tools they have, they write names, dates, and little chronicles about other soldiers that were captured in foreign countries, who knows. So they write it down with runic letters, so runic inscription. This is the oldest graffito we have in Venice. So nowadays it's Venetian because in 1688, Francesco Morosini, that was the Duke, one of the Duke of Venice, he was in Greece to conquer Greece again, to conquer the Morea, the Peloponnese, as we all know it today, because it was conquered by the Ottoman soldiers. They tried to reconquer as Venetian, and when he saw this beautiful lion at the harbor of Athens, he decided to steal it because the lion is and was the symbol of the Republic of Venice, or the symbol of Saint Mark the Evangelist. So this is how, this is the story, the history of the lion, of the arsenal that we have today, and that bore the most ancient graffito in Venice.
Wow. And Alberto, the most interesting for you?
Okay, for me, is the right question.
Because I'm pretty sure you both have two different ideas. So I'll ask you first, and then I'll ask Daisy.
Many of them are, of course, are interesting. They all are telling something about people who lived in Venice before us. I wanna tell you about a very curious one we found in the Loggia Foscara, so in the front terrace. Upper terrace of Palazzo Ducale. On a column there is a strange painting showing letters that are similar to Greek, but they are not Greek, similar to Cyrillic, but they are not Cyrillic. And so, of course, we take it down and send to Russia. At the university, asking if they were able to read. But from the University of Russia, they told us to send them to the Croatian University.
Okay.
Because that was Glagolitic. And so the
blimey.
oldest, it's the father of Cyrillic,
Okay.
And so the first transliteration of Slavic language. And at the University of Zagreb, they really they were astonished because they didn't know about it, or no one in the world know about it.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's a dated graffito. They were able to read a date. It's 1470.
Okay.
And few people, maybe only one person at the time, was able to write in Glagolitic in Venice. And this person was Blaž Baromic.
Okay.
That at that time he was a Croatian. At that time, collaborating with two of the main book printer in Venice at the end of 15th century.
Mm-hmm.
They were father and son, I Torresani.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the first printer of the first Croatian book in the history. In the island he was born, in the Dalmatian Sea.
Mm-hmm.
There is a statue, of course, of this man. And more than this, the inscription show also what still remain of a name. It is not complete, but you can read Lash. And so what probably remain of Blush.
Wow. That must have been so exciting when you told the people at the university. I mean, wow. And Daisy, your most interesting one?
There are so many interesting ones, actually. It's difficult to decide, but I will say a couple of them, just a couple of them for the moment. The first,
Okay.
for the moment, yes. The first one, it's my favorite. It's Thomas.
Mm.
We found this name on one of the columns of a little island not far from Venice, Torcello. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And near the one of the church that is there in Torcello, we found this name. We found this name, Thomas. Nothing strange, maybe, apparently, but if you read carefully the letters, you find that there are two insertion of Greek letter inside a Latin name. So it's a kind of mix of different alphabets, actually. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alberto was talking about Glagolitic. Well, in Venice, we have every kind of language you want to find, every kind of alphabet. We have Glagolitic graffiti, runic inscriptions, Greek, Armenian, Latin, everything. Well, this graffito, it's a mix between Latin and Greek. It's
Okay.
typical of the Renaissance time, when the Venetian scholars during the Renaissance time, they were so much into it, so much in the Studia Humanitatis, they wanted to learn ancient Greek, classical literature, and they tried to emulate sometimes the Greek writings. Another graffito, which is very interesting to me, we found it in this case in San Michele in Isola, which is the cemetery of Venice today. Inside the cluster, in one of the arch, we found this written "Viva l'Italia libera," which means long life to the freedom of Italy, with the date of 28 April of 1945. So. Italy was free actually on the 25th of April officially, but Venice was free by the fascist army on 28th. So this
later.
person was there.
3 days, sorry.
3 days later, yes. So maybe this person, this man, this woman, we don't know who wrote it down, but he or she was there while this was happening. So it's a very interesting historical evidence, by the way.
Wow.
In any case, can I add something else?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe the best is yet to come, because there are so many people right now that are writing messages to us and say, "Hey, I found this interesting graffito in my home, in the courtyard of my house."
You're going to have to do Graffiti di Venezia part 2 then.
Yes, in private spaces.
Yeah. Listen, Alberto, 5 years research. Now, listening to you, I realize you went literally every single house and palace and possible location in Venice, in the islands.
Every public space you can cross with your body. We cross through.
Wow. So how did you get to find the way? I mean, I assume you already had some knowledge where you can find them, but then what? As you were going along, people were telling you that they were, oh, look, I've got graffiti, or I saw this thing. How did you find them?
searching.
Yeah, okay,
Well,
searching, but you know.
I'm joking. We didn't know at first. You know, as Daisy was telling you before, we started thinking. We knew there were, you know, some graffiti elsewhere, 100, 200. But when we started to collect them, to take picture, to map them, we realized that they were more and more. And so from a certain moment, we decided to simply search all of them, wall by wall, door by door, window by window, every single calle, corte, fondamenta,
Wow.
you know, was put under our sites.
Of course.
And it was, of course, a long job.
Well, I remember meeting you one evening, you two.
Yeah.
And I think after a long day search over the streets, and you were like both completely so tired. So I get it. Listen, Desi, before you mention that you are interested more in talking about the common people rather than the big, you know, the famous people of history. Okay. So something that struck me when I first wrote the title, when I first met you two, and you said to me you were doing a book on graffiti, my mind didn't go to historic graffiti. My mind immediately went to Bansky and Ovia.
Sure.
You know, because I thought, what the hell are they doing a book on graffiti? You know, and then as I went on, my reason for no, they probably meaning the older ones. But actually, it's interesting that the connotation, the bad connotation that today graffiti have, and instead, I'll probably in 100, 150 years, they probably will have, even the most modern ones. So how, you know, the relation as well as you, as an historian, did you find some relation between the new modern ones and the old ones, you know, as not as much as how they were carried out, but in the meaning of it, why they were done?
Well, that's a very complicated question. I will need like 1 hour to answer you, maybe.
You got 5 minutes.
Yes, 5 minutes, yes.
Okay,
but
5 minutes,
just
okay.
The most important thing, okay. So actually, graffiti, it's a rather complicated word because we mean so many different geographical and historical contexts by using this word. When maybe you were thinking about also historical graffiti in Pompeii and Betsy at the same time, prehistoric graffiti at the same time. So, and I have also a question for you. Do you think that graffiti has always been illegal? Are we sure about it? Because
I don't know. I actually like graffiti. I just think that while they should be allowed in certain contexts. I mean, if somebody tomorrow said to me, Monica, I would like to do a graffiti on your walls, go ahead, because there are some that are fantastic.
I agree.
You know, it all depends where you do them. You know, the people that do them on trains and stuff like that, I think it's just, unless the train people say to you, oh, can you please kindly paint my train? You know, so I think it should be regulated in that sense. But I love graffiti. I think it's a beautiful art expression, you know, when it's done properly.
Yes, definitely. It's an expression in public space, by the way. And it's a collective performance somehow. But well, there are so many reasons why people decided to write on the wall. Sometimes because they want just to leave a trace of their passages. Sometimes they write down names and dates, the day when they scratching down the name on the wall. Sometimes it's a devotional act, a devotional performance. You go to the medieval churches of Italy, in every little city in the mountains, you will find hundreds of graffiti. Inside, maybe that cover the portraits sometimes. This is not vandalism. This is just a performance, a religious performance. They want to write down the name because they want to pray, maybe, okay? They want to write the name near the face of the saints, near the tomb of the saints sometimes. In other case, you want to express your opinion, maybe political slogan. And sometimes, you know, we don't have it anymore because they remove it, they erase it, but we have records in Marin Sanudo, the story, the most important historian of the Republic of Venice. he reported that there were many slogans against the Dukes of Venice. They were trying to make them ridiculous, actually. So it was a kind of, they were fighting with the authorities, with the institution. We don't have any trace of this graffiti anymore because they cover it. So there are so many different write on the wall, but basically they could be the same today and at that time, because it's our nature that is the same. It's the gesture to write on the practice to write on the wall, which is really interesting.
Good.
And despite our personal opinion, we were and we are not interested on the
good or bad.
Giving a kind of sentence, you know. We are more interested to the act of writing, so the occupation of public spaces.
Of course.
We mentioned, you know, some very curious graffiti, but there are a lot of beautiful sketches, for example, of ships. We have tens and tens of ancient ships all around the town. We have animal, we have vegetable, we have architecture.
You had rats. I saw some, you know, so that shows also how long the rats have been in Venice as well.
So it's really spectacular, you know. So sometime go around the town and change your vision of Venice, because the spaces you pass through for your whole life, in 1 second change completely the meaning, you know, of your vision, because the stones are telling you something new and never seen before, despite the fact it is there since century.
And people seen it over and over and never thought anything of it.
Yes, because but basically they write on the wall everything that belongs to their visual culture. They scratch on the wall whatever they see in that very moment. So when you look at this graffiti, when you read that this graffiti that sometimes are also in the Venetian dialect, of course, it's like to see Venice as it was in 16th century, in 17th centuries, with their own eyes.
Amazing. Listen, and from this you developed a festival, didn't you? You two?
Yes.
I mean, how did that come about? I mean, I know I shouldn't ask because Alberto is like me. He's already ahead with 100 ideas. I already know he's already got probably 199 other ideas. But how did the festival come about so soon after the book as well?
Yes, actually, Alberto. Okay. Actually, also the name of the festival was Urbs Scripta. It's a Latin expression that means the written city, because actually, originally, the city was completely covered with writings, sometimes ephemeral writings, not just official one, graffiti and little papers and every kind of writings, actually. So basically, this project, the Graffiti Festival, was part of a public history project, was part of our dissemination project. So we wanted to share the heritage of graphic sign we have in Venice. So we organized many tour guides for a walking tour for the people who want to enjoy, to discover this graffiti in the city of Venice, in Lazzaretto Nuovo. Or, for example, Fontego dei Tedeschi, Palazzo Ducale, the Ducal Palace. So there are hundreds of graffiti there. We also organized a conference. We invited very important personalities from the university in Italy. So from the academic environment, because of course, when you are working, you are dealing with such complicated topic as it is graffiti, you have to consider to do a collaborative job with inviting other personalities. You can't do anything you want, you have to work with other people.
Of course, it's important. And he was a success, wasn't he? Because I mean, every single event was totally booked up and more, as far as I know.
And
right?
we also played with graffiti, you know, pushing people to search them, learning with them, and really oddio, come si dice divertirsi?
Enjoy.
Okay, enjoy with graffiti all around the town, and also for blind people. We
Okay.
organized, we
Oh,
organized
that's amazing.
a
Yeah, of course.
visit, and it was really emotional. You know, show scratched signs to people who cannot really see them, but can perceive them with
Yeah, of
their
course, you can feel
fingers.
them. Yeah. It's I know it's I think doing a walk with blind people I did once in Venice, and it probably was the most emotional and exciting walk I ever did, because I totally experienced Venice. I didn't see Venice. I experienced Venice through them, and it was amazing. Is amazing. What was I was gonna say something else. Oh yes. Okay, the question that I always ask you, Alberto, and I know you're gonna hate me for this, but when is the book coming out in English? And is it the book coming out in English?
Oh, this is the harder question to answer.
Well, they always ask me, you see, so for one
No,
side.
because it's not in our will, you know.
Why not?
No, it is in our will,
It
but
doesn't depend on us.
Okay,
it's not in our power. You know?
Okay, it's always a publisher. It's what I keep telling everybody when they say to me, "When's the English version of your book coming out?" I say,
Okay, so
no, my English version is sitting at a publisher. It just got to be published.
we could provide the email of a publisher and let people ask directly, you know, for
Mail
any-
bombing to the
Yeah,
I know. No, because it's like all of your books, Alberto. It's I really find
I know.
I mean, I gonna as I say, spacco una lancia a tuo favore, but I always get annoyed sometimes that there are so many books written about Venice in English by non-Italians, by non-Venetian. And then the books written by Venetians, that are the people that know the city best, are not translated. I think it is a big, what can I say, lack of foresight from the point of view of the publishers, because foreign people, they would love to read, you know, as long as they translate it properly, to read local people, you know, and to hear Venice through the words of the people that live in Venice, rather than through the eyes of somebody that studies it, might come and live in it, but is not born here. You know,
sure. Yeah, it's a question of money, of
oh, I
course.
know. No, totally
Of
realize
funds.
that. But the point is that I'm 100% sure that, look, your book has not sold well, more than well. Okay. So if it sold so well in Italian and the number of Italians is restricted to so much, can you imagine if you did in English and the world is so big?
No, but, you know, I know perfectly what you're meaning, because my former books are selling more in English than in Italian, for
there
example.
we go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, we even got the proof. So I really don't understand. Okay, so guys, we need to find an English publisher. Okay.
Okay. Can I add something to that? By the
Yeah.
way, it will be great to have the English version of I Graffiti di Venezia, but we try our best using the digital platform like Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and whatever comes to your mind, we are there. Okay.
I know you are.
Yes, and we are used to write in English also. We write the description, the abstract in Italian, and then in English, just because we want to share the knowledge. We want to share this content to everybody, to the English public, of course, the native speaker or not.
Exactly, but because that's what my point of why I think local Venetian writers should be published in English too, because I'm a bit fed up of this postcard idea that all this, of Venice. I would like for Venice to be seen as it really is, finally, you know. But but we agree on this. Okay, so now social medias. Where can we find you?
Very easy. I Graffiti di Venezia. You can write this name and you will find us almost everywhere.
So you got a website as well with this, or just on social medias?
Right now we use the website of Alberto Toso Fei, especially for the program of the Urbs Scripta, which
except for that, but it's easy to go on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you know.
Yeah, you're very active on all social media.
I Graffiti di Venezia, we are there.
We are working on a website. It's just a question of time.
Oh, don't trust me. I do website. I know. My last question is the next book. together, something else, something similar, the updated version?
Yeah, maybe for sure an updated version because of a new relevant graffiti we found, but we don't know where, of course.
Of course.
Maybe 2024, and maybe new books, a new festival for sure next year. The same, of course, the Urbs Scripta Festival. We are already working on it, really, on the program, because it was really a success, and the Venice administration, in the person of Linda Damiano, is the president of a Venetian council, intended to go on and on with new editions. Probably we hope it's we would really like, we would have a new book for 2004 on graffiti, on a special place we in Venice. We discover a lot of them, so a dedicated book.
Okay, I love that. I can't wait. Oh my God, you're so busy, guys. You
Yes.
give me anxiety.
We are anxious. We are.
Daisy, I cannot keep up with Alberto anymore because he's got a book coming out once a week now. And before he used to be like once a year, and okay, that's fine. You do the interview, you ask him. Now it's like once a week. He goes like, okay, I haven't read the other one yet.
Yes. Can you imagine how it is to work with him?
No. Wait. So just to get this interview to the people that are listening, is 6 months just to get to today. So I can imagine, Daisy. I just can imagine what
Okay.
it's like.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Two of you, shame on you. You're two against me.
Of course, we are against you.
We
are two women.
Daisy.
Yes.
And I was saying to him before we came online, I said to him, what about the bodyguards for all his fans with all the ladies that he's got, I mean, have you noticed when you go to his book presentations, is 95% is women.
Of course.
I mean, I feel sorry for your wife, Alberto. I really do.
Yeah, because women are so interested in history.
Culture.
Must be the reason. Yeah.
But listen, Daisy, have you seen the queues to go and get a book signed? I mean, they're pushing you. I mean, the other day I was there on my line, and I had everybody. They're not even young, they're my age, more or less. They're pushing me away. Like, okay, he's there. Don't worry. Okay, listen, guys, it's so nice talking to you, and I can't wait for the new version, for new plans and new things that you're gonna bring along, and speak to you soon, and I hope to see you for a drink, maybe, if we got time. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to join your podcast, of course.
Thank you so much. Ciao,
ciao. Monica. Ciao, everyone.
Ciao.
Thank you so much, Daisy and Alberto. You can find them on all social medias as I Graffiti Di Venezia, and you can find Alberto on his website as www.albertotosofei.it. Thank you again for listening. If you want to book a food tour or a cooking experience with me, you can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com or at cookingvenice.com, and also on all social medias with the handle at Monica Cesarato and at cookingvenice. Feel free to leave a comment or write to info@monicacesarato.com for more information about the people featured in the podcast or Venice. Bye bye!